Welcome to the Flynn Brothers podcast. I'm John.
And I'm Jimmy. Today's big idea. Bobby Flay is the greatest competition chef of all time.
We discuss our love for cooking competition shows, then rhapsodize about the talents of this format's GOAT, Bobby Flay.
Later, we trace Bobby's career through cooking competitions, highlight what makes him such a dynamic competitor, then strategize how a chef could beat him.
Finally, we're doing a throwdown. I'll play Bobby Flay and challenge Jim to cook his specialty dish. Then I'll come up with a Flay-inspired take, and our producer, Will Slade, will judge whose cuisine reigns supreme.
Yeah, it's all coming up. But first, here's the Solons.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
The Flynn brothers love to cook, and arguably more than that, the Flynn brothers love cooking shows.
Yeah, I don't know if I like cooking shows more than cooking.
Well, what have you spent more time doing? Watching cooking shows or cooking?
No, don't make me look in that mirror, please. Please don't make me look.
I'm going to rattle off some of our favorites. There is, of course, the original Iron Chef from Japan. You must have it. I wish there was a subtitled version of it. It's the dubbed version. Just beyond charming, beyond high drama. There is Iron Chef America, the semi-bastardized American version of it, hosted by Alton Brown, marvelously. There is Chopped, which I think Chopped is just like, that's just comfort food.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's, I'd say, the most popular, well-known one. I would say it is gotten too big to fail. I saw an ad recently for Chopped Castaway where they're doing Chopped on a desert island, and I was like, I think this franchise has gotten a little too big.
Yeah,
you know?
Ted Allen doesn't belong on a desert island.
No, he doesn't.
Then there's sort of, I'd say, the spiritual successor to Chopped is Guy's Grocery Games, which kind of brings a supermarket sweep element to it. And then, of course, the new crown jewel of the cooking competition world, the Tournament of Champions.
What I'm really hearing is it used to be Japan who controlled the cooking competition world. Then it moved to Ted Allen, and now it rests in the mighty, bejeweled hands of Guy Fieri.
I agree. Part of, I think, what we like about competition cooking is that it is like cooking, but it is very different from cooking.
Well, we like sports.
Yes.
And it's basically a combination of cooking and sports. So I think that is really what ropes us in.
Right. Any chef can cook, particularly one that's good enough to make it on TV. But what makes it difficult are all of these constraints that you put on the chef. Typically, they're in an unfamiliar kitchen that they don't really know where everything is. They don't know how hot the grills are. There's new equipment that they're maybe forced to use. And of course, the clock. The clock is what makes cooking competitions what they are. Without the clock, it's nothing.
I think a lot of people have a proverbial clock or even a literal clock when they are cooking at home. Me, for instance, my fiance will text me, I'm coming home, and I know her commute's about 45 minutes, so I know, all right, get off your ass. If I haven't already started cooking, I got to wrap it up in 45 minutes, or, she's going to come home and chew me out. She'll emasculate me, make me sleep on the couch. This is the sort of stuff I live in fear of.
And they say the feminists didn't win. They say this is still a patriarchy. No, but, for the clock, it's like if you're 5 minutes late with putting dinner on the table, she understands.
Sure.
In cooking competitions, there is no mercy for that sort
no.
of thing. The other thing about these cooking competitions is there's always these constraints on the ingredient, and typically there is the so-called secret ingredient or the main ingredient that you have to use. And whereas in the past with this Iron Chef Japan, you would have a chance to do like 4 or 5 dishes to showcase different ways of using the ingredient. There's been a shift to it's one dish typically, and you have to use the ingredient multiple ways in one dish. For instance, if you are given beets as the secret ingredient, you better boil the beets, you better roast the beets, you better use the beet greens, you better make a sauce out of the beet juice. Like, you need to really work all the different angles.
And like sports, you can kind of pick and choose what you think is the ultimate form of showing your prowess. If you were to compare doing the 5 dishes Iron Chef style to sports, you would compare it to like a 7-game series where, okay, maybe you'll lose a dish or two, maybe you'll lose a game or two, but you can still win the competition. You can still win the series. Whereas the one dish and you advance and lose on the one dish, you fail, it's like the Super Bowl. It's like the knockout round of the World Cup. It all hinges on that. And so I see validity to both sides. Both are very enjoyable. I maybe even like the Iron Chef model a little more, where you get multiple cracks at it and multiple ways to show your creativity. And, you know, Guy Fieri with Guy's Grocery Games, he's bastardized it a little. He's trashed it up a little, right? They have competitions where he'll do something like a frozen food face-off where, you know, he's got this whole grocery store full of great ingredients and you can only use the frozen food aisle to make like a seafood dish, or he'll have one called a can where you can't use any fresh ingredients. You can only use stuff in cans. So it's very fun. It's very interesting in the way it limits these chefs and forces them to showcase their creativity essentially with one arm tied behind their back. But at the same time, it's like, well, we maybe don't want too many guardrails. We really want to see the artistry of these people versus the pragmatism, I think.
Yeah, I think it's adapted to the shorter attention spans of the viewing audience, as well as the demands of a network where it's like, you got to have a dish every single time we go to commercial. There has to be a new dish. We can't cut away in the middle of the competition. That's not interesting enough. But you're talking about Guy Fieri's bastardized version.
This is our 3rd time we've said bastardized, isn't it? Oh, my goodness.
I've come to you today to talk about the master of the more pure form of the cooking competition. I come to you today to talk about Bobby Flay.
We're having a throwdown, you're saying?
We're having a throwdown.
We're throwing down with Bobby Flay.
About Bobby Flay. Bobby Flay, I think, exists in the cultural imagination in kind of a funny way. I think it started really with the name check by Adam Scott and Step Brothers, as he is the douchebag chef.
It wasn't just the cubes. It was super stuff. Super stuff. I'll take that again. It wasn't just the cubes. It was Super Chef Bobby Flay, Chris Daughtry. I mean, he's like name-checking all these mid-2000s kind of douchey celebrities, which I think really was Bobby's reputation at the time. He was seen as this kind of hothead. His first huge show, not his first show, but his really monster hit show, Throwdown with Bobby Flay, he would show up and just, you know, challenge people to the dish they make best that their grandma taught them they've been making for 100 years, and he'd make it better at them and kind of neener in your face. And I think that is just sort of how he still exists in a lot of people's minds.
Yeah, let's back up. Let's take it to the very first time the world met Bobby Flay. Bobby Flay was one of the few American chefs to appear on Iron Chef Japan.
Right.
It was the New York challenge against Masaharu Morimoto, who had recently immigrated, I believe, from Japan to New York. Later, he would wind up in LA, and they're like, we need to take on the greatest chef in all of New York City. And it's brash, arrogant Bobby Flay, who comes in. He's almost playing like a caricature of what you would expect an American to be. He's loud, he's sweating, he's swearing, he's doing all sorts of bold, uncharacteristic things that laugh in the face of the sort of Japanese tradition and decorum. And it's exemplified by, at the end of the match, Bobby Flay, hasn't even been decided who's won or lost. Bobby gets a lift from his sous chef. He stands on his cutting board, puts his hands in the air, and says, "Raise the roof, yo! Raise the roof!" It is unbelievably cringe.
Adrenaline is a funny thing.
Yeah.
Adrenaline is who do you think you are? I am.
Yes.
It's just that in the throes of competition and or victory, it can bring out some weird stuff. In particularly white men, let's say it. In
yes,
particularly white men.
Yes. No, the Japanese audience is like just utterly scandalized by this boorish American.
It's like he pulled his pants down and mooned the crowd. I mean, it would be that shocking, right?
Morimoto is interviewed right after this. He's disgusted.
Yes.
The look on his face is of just pure disdain for Bobby. He says he's no chef because he has desecrated the sacred cutting board and knife, and justice prevails. Masaharu Morimoto defeats Bobby Flay. The boorish American is humbled by the Japanese master, but Flay really makes a burst on the scene with this. Like, he really clearly has moves. He's a natural on camera. He just has this raw talent that is undeniable. He talks about cutting himself and getting electrocuted, like making it seem almost like it was rigged against him. Like, there's just a lot of drama. He really understands the medium.
It's interesting because the cutting board and knife are very personal to a chef. Every chef has their signature knife, their favorite knife. They probably sharpen it every day if they work in a kitchen every day. They have their cutting board. In Japan, just to be more specific, it is seen as very, very sacred, much more so sacred than it would be seen in America. The Japanese and their knives, right? There's this tradition of Japanese knife making that is very ancient and very prideful, I should say.
Yeah.
And so, I think the important thing about Flay's behavior is this is in the infancy period of the Food Network. And I think everyone at that time, Emeril Lagasse, Flay, everyone understood they don't often point the camera at a chef. So we got to really play the part. We really got to be TV stars. We really got to make this thing happen. And I think that explains Emeril going bam. And like a lot of those early days of the Food Network where the energy was super, super high. Rachel Ray, like a lot of people acting in these ways that they're really just trying to get your attention.
Yeah. Flay later, during the American version of Iron Chef America, he is one of the first Iron Chefs. He challenges, Masaharu Morimoto comes over and challenges, and they have a rematch. And in this one, Flay is victorious. Yeah. He's a pretty interesting case, though, Bobby Flay, because he's known for his distinct Southwestern style of cooking. Which is fascinating because Bobby is an NYC guy through and through.
Yeah, I don't really know. Did you get into the research why he's a Southwestern guy? It's always just kind of made me chuckle, and I've never really known the backstory.
I'm so glad you asked. Bobby Flay, this was surprising to me, dropped out of high school at 17 to work in kitchens. He's a French-trained chef who apprenticed under the great Jonathan Waxman.
Yes, that's
he of the California backyard cuisine. Yeah. And he was the one who was like, Bobby, try Southwest cooking. And Bobby just takes to it like a fish to water.
Yeah, it's funny because Flay, anytime he cooks, you're going to see smoked paprika. You're going to see serrano peppers. You're going to see cilantro. And it's so funny when people think of Southwest cooking, you're thinking like what is that? Like Tex-Mex, like Sonora dogs? Like it has such a terrible kind of prefab reputation, and yet when you watch Flay cook, he raises it to such an artistry. That is so fascinating about how he got into it.
He's a real master of barbecuing, grilling, frying. He knows chilies really well, aggressive spicing, and then of course his signature move is he would always have these blenders of a green herb sauce and a red chili sauce, and it was like Michael Jordan warming up, taking a fadeaway jumpers before the game. As soon as you saw those going, it's like, oh boy, this chef's in trouble.
Yeah, he's expanded too. He's made these he'll make like basil oils or these kind of herb oils, and then his other go-to now is the like crispy rice. He likes the crispy bottom rice that's kind of praised. So in like more Asian cuisine. So there has been this expansion. I mean, he obviously can master any style. But yeah, man, it is just so funny. You have this very Irish looking, very brash New Yorker, and he does Southwest. It just is so American. It is just this amalgamation of all these different cultures and identities, and it's just what makes him so unique.
Yeah. He's fascinating on Iron Chef America because it's sort of a dead format. You're making a 4 to 6 dish course, and it's not just you in the kitchen, it's you and 2 sous chefs, which is something that's sort of been lost. And you get this very interesting team dynamic. You also get to see more what I think a chef is like in a professional kitchen, because you're not all alone, obviously, in a professional kitchen. The other thing that's interesting, I think, is that Bobby typically uses female sous chefs, which you would think as a guy who's as sort of macho as he is, that this would not be the type of move that he would make. But all the women that he chooses are just like, everybody's got great moves, and Bobby is direct, he's brash, but there's definitely been a little bit of a tone down since he first came on the scene, and he's really professional. He's supportive, he is generous with praise, he sets very clear standards of what he wants. You're just like, I would say, watching Iron Chef America, you're just very impressed by his prowess in the kitchen.
I would say every celebrity chef has gone through this. I would say Gordon Ramsay used to fly off the handle and get red in the face and swear a ton. Guy Fieri used to be like full like 211 Ed Hardy flame t-shirt, gangsta money, like, and all of them just, maybe it's getting older, maybe it's how TV's changed and you don't have to act so you know, a kind of attention seeking,
over the top.
You just can kind of dial it back and kind of be more yourself. So it's an interesting evolution with celebrity chefs.
Yeah. The way that Bobby really wins is his just everything he does is like one step further than his opponents. If you're boiling something in water, he's cooking it in chicken stock. If you're serving a bed of rice, he's got that crispy rice going. If you're just braising a piece of pork, he's throwing it on the grill first before he hits it with his sauce. He just really, I think, understands the game. And then there's also this sort of combination persona that he adopts of like a gunslinger rock star. He's got panache. He's looking at the crowd. He's twirling bottles of sauce before he's plating his dishes. I mean, he just really has it.
It's like how Steph Curry dances after he hits a three. It's just when you do something at such a high level for so long, it can look easy, it can look effortless, but of course it takes a tremendous amount of skill. But there's clearly that passion there. He still loves it. He's God knows how old, probably in his late 50s, early 60s by now. He clearly just still loves it. I just don't imagine he's ever going to stop cooking, right?
No. What would you say, what would you guess Bobby Flay's win percentage in Iron Chef America is?
Depressingly, I have looked this up multiple times throughout my life. I am fascinated by different chefs' cooking percentages. His will be skewed because he's done so many.
Just for Iron Chef America.
Just for Iron Chef America. Definitely above 500.
Yes.
I would guess 600, 650.
72% winning percentage. Most battles, most wins in Iron Chef history.
He wins 3 out of 4.
44 wins, 17 losses / ties.
Wait, say that again.
44 wins, 17 losses / ties.
That is like a 1 seed in the Western Conference every year, right?
It is similar to the Kansas City Chiefs of the last decade.
Oh my God.
That's how you should think of Bobby Flay on Iron Chef America. So a few notable battles I'm going to run through here. He cooks in the pilot episode, season 1, episode 1, Battle Buffalo. Bobby wins by 1 point over Chef Rick Bayless. Good to establish his bona fides for
Rick
it.
Bayless,
The funniest one is season 8, episode 11 is Battle Avocado. It is pointed at as ingredient rigging because that is so in Bobby's wheelhouse, and he's going up against Canadian home-style chef Michael Smith. Final score, 54-40. That is a blowout in Kitchen Stadium.
Most of the competitions generally were within 5 points.
Yeah.
They're very closely scored.
Yeah.
So that is, that's literally like beating a team in the NBA 120 to like 52. I mean, it is
mercy rule. You're mercy ruling
slaughter.
them in Little League. His last episode that he did not tell the producers this. On his last episode, he rips open his chef coat and it says, "This is my last Iron Chef battle ever."
Wow.
So just has it till the end. Has this sort of flair.
He's
till the
Jordan
end.
like. He really is. He just the longevity, the killer instinct, that sort of what you said, that macho kind of persona,
Totally.
cock of the walk, gunslinger, you know.
He loses his last battle ever. It's Bison, which I thought was hilarious, kind of a full circle, similar to Buffalo.
That's Southwest too, isn't it?
Loses to James Beard winner Tory Miller. I looked up Tory Miller. I'd never really heard about him, but in an article about him in the second line of his bio, it's that he beat Bobby Flay on Iron Chef America. That's how much of a accomplishment this was. Why did he quit? Said he was exhausted physically and emotionally burnt out. In a season, he would do 6 to 8 battles per week,
Oh my God.
which is just
Oh my God.
utterly draining.
I was watching an interview with Nathan Lane, who was just doing Willie Loman, Death of a Salesman, like 8 times a week. And all these actors who've played Willie Loman, it's so many lines. The play's so long. It's so taxing emotionally. So George C. Scott, I think, played him, had a heart attack. Like, guy, everyone who plays him, like, dies, basically, or, like, gets closer to death. Yeah, that is unbelievable, dude. Like, you're not only performing, you're not only cooking at such a high level, so physically, it's like literally playing an NBA basketball game, but you're also on stage performing a play. Like, that is literally the physical toll this would be taking on you.
To quote Bobby Flay, it is 60 minutes of pure energy, creativity, and execution. I think that sums it up really well. And the other thing, too, is he was often the chef chosen by the challengers because he was so famous.
Yeah.
He was the most well-known of all of them. So obviously everybody
Yes.
wants to take down Bobby Flay because it meant so much more.
Yeah, 100%. To be the best, you got to beat the best. But very few could beat Bobby Flay.
That's right. And so Bobby, being as big a star as he was, goes out on his own, strikes out on his own, says, "I don't need the Iron Chef framework. I, Bobby Flay, am a show unto myself." And we'll get into those shows right after the break. Okay, my brother alluded to it earlier. The next evolution of Bobby Flay's cooking competitions is Throwdown with Bobby Flay. I think this is actually what made him like a super duper star.
Do you have the years in which it ran? And if not, may I guess?
Again, a classic Jim hitting me with the years. I do not know the years.
I wanted to guess
was on.
2007 to 2015, but maybe I'm wrong.
Let's say
that's
that's right. Let's say that's right.
All right.
It is Throwdown with Bobby Flay is the most arrogant premise for a show ever. You alluded to it earlier. You find a chef who is renowned for one special dish. Everybody in the city comes for Louis' pasta vajol, you know? And then Bobby Flay rolls up middle of a lunch service, black SUV, and he's like, "Louis, I'm challenging you to do the pasta vajol challenge right now." And everyone's like, "Oh, whoa, oh." And Louis is like, "You're on, Bobby." And it is, then they cook, and then it is blind judged by local experts, which I think is a critical thing. I will come back to this because Flay loses about 2 times as often as he wins on Throwdown with Bobby Flay.
Do you have his winning
Yes.
percentage for Throwdown? May I hazard a guess?
I don't have his percentage. I have the wins
okay.
and losses.
I would guess he's slightly over 500.
No, he is. I told you, he loses about 2 times as much as he wins. He had
Oh.
32 wins and 68 losses.
Whoa.
Roughly the
Whoa.
type of season you would expect from the Sacramento Kings.
No way. He
Yeah.
lost more than he won?
Lost way more than he won.
Really?
Here's why.
I feel like every time I watched, he won.
Maybe they burned those episodes for syndication, the losses. Here's why I think. It is a generalist Bobby versus a specialist.
Right.
You have the one person, this is the thing that they cook. And with the local experts, Bobby's Southwest twist is not always welcome.
Right.
I did think it was hilarious with the blind quote unquote judging, because they don't see who cooks. They don't see who cooks what, and then the food is just put in front of them. That's what blind judging means. But it's sort of funny. It's like, who made this adobo crema? Who put pasilla peppers in this meatloaf? Who smoked this cheesecake? Like, it would be so obvious which one Bobby made.
This happens a lot. We'll see in the cooking competition shows where the judges know it is like a Thai chef versus a Mexican chef. But then they have to act like whoever made this pad see or like whoever made these chilaquiles, they are delicious. So like that to me is like pretty hilarious. So the blind quote unquote, it's television, folks. You got to goose it. What can I say? Got to goose it.
To me, I sort of love that Bobby Flay lost a ton in Throwdown. That he stuck with this for as long as he did, even though he had a 1 in 2 chance, like every 1 out of 3 times he would win.
That was a jumble of numbers, and
33% roughly.
He lost more than he won, twice as much. He won half as much as he won half as much as he lost. Right? We got the numbers, percentages, fractions, etc. It's so interesting though, because I think if most people knew this, they would not think of him as such a douche. Because it's like this guy is deliberately doing something difficult, and he's fallen on his face quite a bit. However, his approach is still douchey. I remember the thing that would piss me off about every single episode is it's the lunch rushes. You said the person's cooking. They're the local legend and stuff. Bobby would pull up. He's driven. A driver drives him in the black SUV. And it would always double park in the middle of the street while it waited for him to get out. Like, it would never park. It always, like, was double parking. It's like, move. Is that Bobby Flay walking into Gino's pastrami? Oh, no, God. He's going to challenge him to a Reuben throwdown. It's just like that. It was that coming into a guy's turf. Again, it is just so in his macho personality to do this.
I think what it reminds me of is, like, when a top draft pick joins a bad team and the odds are stacked against you, but there is something noble in the struggle. And when they do squeak out those rare wins, there's something really awesome about it. Yeah. I also think this hardened Bobby and sharpened his steel and also gave him an idea for his next show, which is Beat Bobby Flay.
Approximately 2015 to present,
yes.
I would assume. It went overlooked in the research. We have a 20-person research department. They couldn't
We're firing them all. We're firing them all.
We're not good with dates.
We're not
right?
good with
good
years.
with dates.
So anyway, he refines the concept of the show, I think, to tilt it more into his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
So basically what we have is there's 2 chefs, and they battle to decide who cooks against Bobby. Bobby gives them an ingredient that they have to transform for their dish. It is tasted by the judges. The judges choose, all right, your dish is better. You're challenging Bobby. And then Bobby, it's the same sort of throwdown situation, except you're no longer on the turf of the challenger. You're on Bobby's turf. You're in a New York City Food Network studio.
It's kind of like warehousey, too. Like, it's like a douchey party he'd go to in like a New York warehouse, you know?
It's his environment. It's his kitchen. It's where he's comfortable cooking. He also has sort of like celebrity New York friends, like Tina Fey does some episodes, you know. Who are some other people you think of?
A lot of Food Network people, Alex Gornicelli, Sonny Anderson. I mean, people who don't watch the Food Network, I may as well just be saying blah, 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 blah,
yeah, but occasionally you'll get like maybe a New York Giant will show
some
up or something like
athletes.
that.
I mean, he's a socialite in many
Yeah.
ways, right? He goes to a lot of Hollywood parties and kind of these New York parties, and I think he's pretty tapped in with like actors and athletes. And for goodness sake, I think he and his companies and stuff, he's probably catered a lot of these events too, or like done these kind of like specialty private dinners and stuff. So, you know, it's something that you know, clearly has put him into touch with a lot of famous people.
Yeah. And in addition to this, the judging is done not by local experts, but by New York City, like celebrity chefs or like real, like highbrow food critics.
Yeah.
So his sort of chefed up takes on things, I think, are more welcome here than, you know, somebody who's going to recognize the pasta fagioli made by Gino.
I think like with Throwdown, it's all road games, and Beat Bobby Flay's all home games, and it's like, okay, I'm older, I maybe have lost a step, I'm still as good, you know, intellectually as I ever was, if not better, but I'm maybe not as fast as I once was. I can't get as much done in the time frame. But yeah, there is a more comfortability in terms of watchability, though. Like, I don't know. Like, do you enjoy watching either show?
No, it's I say it's C-tier television. It's better, frankly, on mute because there's so much awkwardness of trying to shoehorn Bobby into being a host and a chef on a competition show. Typically, that is two different jobs. There is a host, and then there are the people who are competing. And Bobby is not, I would say, a natural, hey, welcome to my show type of host. He's good if he's like cooking and he's telling you how to make something. He's good in that way. And then there's also two other people who are just sort of like commentators who have this really like forced trash talk that is extremely just like, it's really difficult to pull off because it's such an artificial environment. You can hear the producer in their ear saying, hey, go over to Bobby and tell him his sauce sucks or whatever.
Right,
and they just, nothing about it is organic.
He is the yin to Guy Fieri's yang, right? Guy Fieri has the personality. He may not have the chef skills, but his personality shines through. Flay's cooking is his personality, right? His game does the talking, right? Like Steph Curry, his game is incredible, but he's not a very interesting interview. He's not an interesting. I used to watch this show when I was first dating my fiance that he and Ayesha Curry co-hosted called About Last Night, where it's them and other couples talking. It's like, what's a sexy game you play in the bedroom? Like, I'm not even kidding. This is a show that exists. We would just be dying laughing because he's so unnatural in the environment. But then you watch him on the court, and it's like watching Michelangelo paint the Sistine Chapel. And same thing with Flay cooking. It's watching Jordan, you know, do a turnaround fadeaway. Like you just let his game do the talking, and you really need someone else in there who can do the hosting and the talking to camera.
How many Beat Bobby Flay matches would you guess there have been?
Boy. Well, I would guess they probably knock out 30 a year, and it's been on 10 years. I'll guess 300.
528.
Oh, my God.
Bobby has won 330 times. That is a 62.5 winning percentage, roughly equivalent to the San Antonio Spurs from 2001 to 2026.
So it's the Duncan through Wemby.
Wemby,
early career. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what, 4 titles in that span? That's not bad. Huh?
Yeah, that's true. The thing that saves the show, that makes it just watchable on mute, is that Bobby can cook. Bobby still could just cook his absolute ass off.
Absolutely.
So the question becomes, how do you beat Bobby Flay? I'm going to run through a few things that you're dead. Chicken, beef, pork, you're dead.
Dead, man.
Dead.
If you go up to Bobby Flay and say, I challenge you to brick chicken and roast potatoes, that is like just slitting your own throat and letting him drink the blood.
Yeah. What I say is, if you, especially too, like some chefs make the mistake of choosing a flavorful dish and then they sauce it or flavor it too simply.
Yep.
He's going to blow you out of the water
He'll
with his
kill you.
spice blends.
He'll kill you.
The analogy analogy that I wrote down. It's like if you open up your jaw to a Mike Tyson right hook, that is the same thing as letting Bobby use smoked paprika or chili pepper. If you let Bobby use those ingredients, you are dead. You are cooked.
If you tell Bobby your signature dish is flame grilled shrimp, you should just ram your head against the stove. You're burnt. You're cooked.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
This segment should be called "How to Lose to Bobby Flay."
Yeah. So I then found a really fascinating blend of Food Network personalities who give some quotes as to how you can beat Bobby Flay. Jeffrey Zakarian says you should cook simply and you don't want to let Bobby get into his Southwestern bag. That's how I framed it.
You almost like need to avoid savory. Almost. You almost like don't do an entree. Don't do an entree or app. Like you almost
go dessert, go pasta. Here's Zakarian's take on it, and this is a very sort of like almost wrestler promo take on it. I could beat Bobby Flay with one hand tied behind my back and an eye patch, Zakarian boasted to Food Network. People go on the show thinking that they have to cook fancy. My advice is cook a fried egg. Use just a few ingredients, because if you try to use all the ingredients, he will kill you.
It's probably true. It's probably true. The more ingredients, the more complicated, you're screwed. Crazily enough, it may have been on Throwdown. I think it was Throwdown. He lost to Ree Drummond, the pioneer woman known for, opening cans of Campbell cream of mushroom soup and dumping it into a crock pot. I forgot the dish she beat him in. It was some homespun, kind of Midwest Southern thing. And it is true. And Zakarian, a fellow Iron Chef named much later than Bobby Flay. I don't think he's in the same category chef as Bobby Flay. It was
great chef.
Wrestling promo speak, as you said. I do think, though, he brings up some great points. I consider myself somewhat of an authority to speak on this, you as well, because we've watched so much of him over the year. We've been watching him for 20 years.
Hours and
I can
hours.
talk about LeBron's game. I watched every year he's been in the NBA. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I also think the part of it, too, the end of the quote, he will kill you.
Yes.
This is our point about Bobby Flay being Jordan.
Yes.
That's how they talk about Jordan, the ruthless competitiveness. Bobby embodies that when he's cooking. Okay, Alex Guarnaschelli said the best tactic for chefs in the ring with Flay is to embrace their own sense of self, to put aside the 700 ingredients in the pantry and just make something that's really true to who they are. So that's Ree Drummond. That's like, you don't want to choose something that can be chefed up. You want to choose something that is your home cooking, something you've made a million billion times, that has all of your love and memories and special techniques, because Bobby's going to use a lot of the same tricks. He's going to flame grill. He's going to put that crust on it, a crust on the rice. You have to be restrained.
Yeah, I think you almost... Well, we're doing a game where I play you as Bobby Flay. I'll save it. I'll save it.
There we go. Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
This is echoed by Ann Burrell and Jeff Morrow, who said to cook what you know and to season thoroughly. You must season thoroughly because he's known for his bold Southwestern-inspired flavors. Yes. Finally, here's Amanda Freitag, and I think this is the one that's the funniest. You pretty much have to know every cuisine, every technique in the culinary world, and be able to know how to compete like him, because he's got tons of competitive experience. In other words, it's almost impossible to beat Bobby Flay. He's incredible. Flay has now since transitioned into more of a godfather, kingmaker of the competition culinary world.
You must be speaking of Bobby's triple threat.
I am. Titans including Brooke Williamson and Michael Voltaggio, who are exceptional competition chefs.
Yeah, both kind of L.A. Pretty famous chefs. I believe he's dating Brooke Williamson. Actually, not to tell tales out of school. It's public information.
I felt it was a bit salacious to get into Bobby's history of dating. He is a bit of a playboy, so if that appeals to you, go ahead and have a fun afternoon on Google.
We're not here to judge a man for that sort of stuff,
Indeed, no. Bobby picks the secret ingredient on the Triple Threat show. I wouldn't know because I've never seen an episode.
No interest. Unless he is just cooking I have zero interest. I almost would fast forward. Not that I even really watch Beat Bobby Flay, but I often watch it on mute while I am cooking.
Sure.
And maybe it'll inspire me to, I guess this could use cilantro and chipotle peppers. But yeah, man, it's just like I like his game doing the talking. The most I've ever enjoyed him on television is Iron Chef America.
Yeah.
That is, again, let Alton Brown do the talking. Let your game do speak for your personality. That is the most I've ever enjoyed him, and really just the last 20 years I can only really watch it on mute. They don't even really play Throwdown on the Food Network anymore.
No, I think probably because Bobby lost so often on it, and I would also imagine the like camera quality and stuff like that just isn't as high. This brings
20,
20s some years ago. I didn't get the exact years.
No.
The thing this brings us to is he really needs to be on, in some capacity, Tournament of Champions.
Yeah.
But there is this cold war of sorts at the Food Network between him and Guy Fieri.
Yeah, a few years ago, Guy Fieri, he's like an NBA player in so many ways. He's at All-Star Weekend. He's got the bling. He signed a $100 million contract. I think a few years ago, he signed a 3-year, $100 million contract. And Food Network really kind of grew on the back of Emeril and Bobby Flay in those early days. And then it kind of was Rachel Ray. And since Triple D, it's pretty much been Guy Fieri. And he is the #1 on the call sheet megastar of the Food Network. And Bobby, I think, thinks, okay, Guy Fieri, you hear this argument in sports. Guy Fieri and I were 1A, 1B, or we're both 1A, but it's Fieri 1 and Flay 2. And Flay had a contract holdout, and I think eventually signed. He's still obviously cooking on the Food Network. And I just think they both see themselves as too big to supplement themselves or work with each other. And so I think that, and it's a shame because Flay would be awesome on Tournament of Champions. Flay and his cooking style would be well matched, and you'd love to hear Fieri's kind of joking persona and analysis of Flay's techniques and praise of Flay's techniques. You think that would be so cool, but again, that term you use, Cold War, that's just what we got with these guys.
Yeah, I really think Flay would have shined in the Tournament of Champions format. Just the amount of the randomizing the equipment, the ingredients, the techniques. I think Bobby would have been able to do all of that super well.
Too much to lose, though, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you lose, there's nothing to gain. Like, he's got his own competition show with his rules, his set, his name on the show. What's the point of doing Fieri's show?
I think they basically just use each other as leverage for the Food Network. It's like, well, Guy Fieri's son, Hunter, gets to be on his show. I want a show with my daughter. And so he gets it. I think, too, I don't actually think that there's like outright hostilities. I just don't think they really overlap very much because Guy is Mr. West Coast, got his whole headquarters in Santa Rosa, and Bobby's Mr. New York City. They don't cross paths all that often.
I think in our Bourdain versus Fieri episode, we talk about how Bourdain had this kind of snobbishness toward the Guy Fieri persona and prefab foods and stuff like that. I do wonder if there's a degree of that from Flay, at least in his head. If people ask him behind closed doors, what do you think of Guy Fieri? I would guess he's probably like, well, he's not really a chef. Like we really don't. We do two different things, right? So I do wonder if there is like that bit of kind of like turning his nose up at Fieri. But again, I've never heard anything outward that Flay doesn't like him. That there just seems to be this weird like, the lack of communication or collaboration.
Little brother, basically. He's, the second generation of Food Network star. Bobby Flay was a judge on the next Food Network star that gave Guy Fieri his big boost. So I think Flay, in a way, thinks like, I put this guy over.
Yeah,
like, this guy is not like even a thing if I don't tap him the way that I did.
And Flay's the only one standing of that first generation of Food Network guys. And Fieri, I mean, he just basically, anyone who was in his generation, he brought along with him. I mean, these are just really the last two mega TV stars of the Food Network. After them, it's people that only Food Network sickos would know. The only two household names from the Food Network are Guy Fieri and Bobby Flay. I talked about Sonny Anderson and Alex Cornicelli, and unless you're a homemaker, you got no clue what the hell I'm talking about, right?
I think where this ends up, and this would be, I'm going to end this episode before we get to our game with a plea to both Guy Fieri and Bobby Flay. Put Bobby Flay as a judge of Tournament of Champions.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody knows this better. I think Bobby is hankering for an opportunity to show off all that he knows about cooking competitions in a format that people actually care about. Like, the Bobby's Triple Threat is such a minnow in comparison to the blue whale that is Tournament of Champions. I mean, they're not even comparable as entertainment products. And Flay, too, would really juice. I mean, even if he just did the finals, or even if he just did like some of the later rounds, I think he's past competition cooking age. We've seen on Tournament of Champions when they've brought back legends. The legends are 2 steps too slow, 20 years behind culinary techniques. They don't know how to compete in the game the way that it is played nowadays. You know, you can't drop Bob Cousy into the modern NBA.
Right.
And that's the exact sort of same situation here.
Judging, I think, is good. It's a good way to kind of do a tip of the hat or respect. Flay has nothing to lose. It's pure homage to him. But the one thing I think you could do is you break it out of regular Tournament of Champions. There's been Tournament of Champions 7 where they just wrapped up. Before Tournament of Champions 8 or after 8, you do something called Tournament of Champions : Legends.
Ooh.
And it's like
Morimoto.
12-person bracket. It's Morimoto.
Flay.
It's Flay.
Zakarian.
Gordashelli. It's all kind of the first, second generation Food Network people.
Cat Cora.
If you lose, whatever. These are legends. These are give Bobby a bye week.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Like that. I would every year, if I was Fieri and the producers at TOC, my Moby Dick, my white whale would be get Flay in some capacity cooking under this banner. And until they do that, it just feels like there's a little bit of salt missing on the dish that is Tournament of Champions.
There you go. I completely agree. All right. Well, I'm going to be challenging Jimmy Flynn to a throwdown right after the break. Here in Los Angeles, California, where I hear there's a real hot chef making a good dish. Well, we'll just see how good that dish is when I, Bobby Flay, challenge him to a throwdown.
You misspoke a couple times, Bobby. Great to have you on the podcast.
I'm not a natural TV presenter.
John, come back. Bobby took your microphone.
All right, Bobby, take a chill pill over there
you're
for a
back.
second.
Hey, buddy.
Okay. What I challenged my brother to think of a dish that if he has a restaurant, Bobby Flay shows up. What dish?
Let's do my home kitchen. I don't have a restaurant.
Okay.
Bobby knocks on my my penthouse apartment, 10,000 square foot indoor pool. He knocks on the door, and he challenges me to a throwdown at home. I want to talk it through first, and then I'll make my decision. Can I talk to you as John, and you advise me before you become Bobby Flay?
Sure.
Okay, great.
I'll allow that.
Buddy, we cannot do really anything savory. I'm going to basically just eliminate savory.
Okay.
Here's what I'm thinking with Flay. He's traditionally trained chef. I kind of want to go dietary restriction on him.
Whoa. Something
vegan, something gluten-free, something kind of in that zone / dessert. Mm-hmm. So something I was kind of thinking, I was kind of in like a Americana, somewhat prefab, limited ingredient thing. Like I was thinking, okay, desserts, and I'm thinking of things I enjoy making, right? I love making a banana pudding, right? Something like that. I was thinking you can't like even like French toast, pancakes, breakfast stuff. I think that's out. I think he's gonna slit my throat if I try to make French toast.
He's been on that brunch line a few times.
I'm gonna serve my French toast, and then I'm like, "What's he doing? He sprinkled sugar. Oh, he's bruleeing the French toast. No, he's got the blowtorch. Dear God,
You're right. You're dead
so breakfast, I think is out. I think of gluten-free things I make for my celiac, my GF, my gluten-free girlfriend. Gluten-free pizza I'll make, but again, I'm scared he's just gonna kill me with an herb oil. So yeah, I don't know.
Fried pepperoni before.
Yeah, damn it! He's got the pepperoni cups. Oh my God, they got whipped ricotta coming out of them. So yeah, you make very good, and I've made them too, gluten-free brownies. I made a gluten-free tres leches cake recently, but again, tres leches, I'm getting Southwest, and he's gonna. Oh no, he added cinnamon to the tres leches. I'm dead.
It's a salted caramel. No,
I'm thinking gluten-free brownies, and I'm thinking I bait him because I know he can't resist this. I know in his head if I say gluten-free brownies, I know he's going to try and make like the Mexican hot chocolate where he does a dash of cayenne, a dash of cinnamon, some clove. And I think I can bait him into that. I want him to do that. And I think the judges will have mine with the walnuts and the subtle sweetness with the chocolate chips. And they'll think, I prefer this to Bobby. He's doing too much with the cayenne pepper and the adobo seasoning in the chocolate brownie. So I'm thinking that was what I was sort of thinking. Gluten-free brownies, limited ingredients. I don't trust him as a baker. I go dietary restriction as a curveball, and I bait him into doing Southwest where I don't think it's going to work.
I am not even going to become Bobby Flay again. I think you cracked it.
I think you did it.
I think you did it.
I got him.
You really thought of everything.
Because Bobby, he can't resist. If I put
resist.
chocolate in something, he will be adding
cinnamon.
He cannot. I just don't think he's ever made a chocolate dessert that he hasn't thought like, I'm going to do it Mexican hot chocolate style. So I'm trying to bait him into this.
Perfect.
Right? I'm trying to bait him. Another thing, you and I love this. We had the bachelor party here a couple weeks ago.
If I may interrupt you, as soon as you said chocolate brownies, I literally in Flay brain went, I'm going to do it Mexican hot chocolate style. Like you know Bobby Flay so well.
So
God.
I think
You
I
did
could
it.
I think I could get him on that.
Yeah.
And then but another thing was like we made you had made, we used to love making these, the fried bologna sandwich on Hawaiian rolls, American cheese, crushed potato chips, pickles, mayo, mustard, something like that. That's like trashy Americana prefab. I think you could maybe get him on that, but
I think he would. Again, I think you're also in there. You're baiting him to go Southwest with bologna. You're thinking it's like, oh, I'm gonna give it a nice chili pepper crust, and it's like that actually isn't going to make it better.
So I do wonder, or like I was saying with the banana pudding, I think with that you're baiting him into some lime zest, and they're just like, it's too tart, Bobby. You did too much on it, right? Or something like that, where he's like, he soaked the cookies in some tequila or something, and it's just like all wrong. So I think you need to bait him. I think not only do you go simple, not only do you go sweet, you have to bait him into doing Southwest in a way that will not help him.
Very good. I think you did it, buddy.
Thank you,
job.
Dave.
Nice job. I
win, Will. I win.
Will Slade
Good,
says
that's
you
awesome.
win. I'll be back. I'm going to bring you on to beat Bobby Flay, where I'm going to tilt the rules into my own advantage, and you won't be able to do brownies.
I'm Bobby's driver outside. I still got the car double parked. People are honking at me. Remember, he never parked the car. Remember that?
All right, let's go. All right. That's it. Bobby's
that it?
gone.
Okay,
You vanquished him.
okay,
You
okay.
vanquished him like a video game boss. He evaporated back into his penthouse where he's going to be cooking for various socialites and celebrities.
If I wanted him to pummel me into the ground, I would have said, Bobby, I challenge you to a cheeseburger throwdown.
Oh, my God.
I challenge you to ribs. Anything like that, you're going to get your head smashed.
One thing I was thinking it might be, and this would kind of go into the baiting him category, would have been like a chicken parm.
Yes.
Where
I think
it's-
Italian you can get
Yeah,
him. I was
yeah.
thinking a pasta pomodoro, simple tomato
Pasta
sauce.
he doesn't really do.
Yes, so that was the other one I was thinking, doing like a very simple pasta. But I think it opens him up to using the herb oil, and then they're gonna say, well, this had an herb oil, this one didn't.
You kind
Advantage
of
Flay.
if you don't want it to be, you want to choose a dish he can't make spicy.
Yes,
Like if he gets too spicy, because he's gonna make it spicy
He's gonna make it
regardless. So
spicy,
you want to choose something that's bad spicy.
Yeah.
So there you
I
go.
got him though. I got you.
I think you
Bobby.
got him. I
All
think
right,
you
I
got him.
you, Bobby. And with that, please subscribe, comment, and leave a rating. Send questions, comments, or big idea suggestions to our business email, flynnbrospod@gmail.com. Thank you to our producer, Will Slade. He won't be throwing down with Bobby anytime soon. I know he's too busy producing this podcast. He doesn't have time to throw down with Bobby Flay. And we'll see you next time on the Flynn Brothers podcast. Take care, buddy.
Nobody, you take care.